Grand Rising, living through your vision. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Wow, today is January the 14th. Woo! January the 14th. 14th day of the year. And I'm just going to do this every day for maybe 1 or 2 months. You know, when you get down into March and stuff like that, that's when it becomes a little bit different. But just the first couple of days to see what we're doing in the year, our growth, for the 14th day of the year, the 13th, 12th day, what we're doing, for us to be a little bit more conscious about what we're doing, how we're feeling. This is why, like, the first 30 days of the year, it's good to look at what you're doing each day, because each day will pattern what you're going to do throughout the year, because it kind of gives you an idea of who you are. And that's the beauty about knowing thyself and learning thyself, is that we find little things to kind of give us an idea of who we are, what we did during the day, what was I doing January the 14th, or whatever the case may be. So I like doing that because I think it's very important for us to really start learning ourselves, because learning ourselves is going to be significant to learning how we are, why we are, and which brings me to why I'm doing this video today. So I want to thank those for taking the time to look at this video. I hope this information is going to be important for you, so that you can start learning yourself, because it is imperative to learn ourselves. And I'm going to incorporate some of the inserts and different things in this video. I'm going to incorporate some of the inserts from the Bible, because a lot of times when we become spiritual, we have a tendency of thinking that the Bible or certain aspects of Christianity doesn't apply, when in actual reality they do. Because what cultivated Christianity, they had to take some of the universal laws and different things, and that, because it had to have some significance in order for it to work. It had to have some of the laws and some of the elements from the universal sense of understanding implemented into the process, because had they not done that, it would not have had no life or no motivation, or be able to carry the weight that it did on its own. So it needed elements from the universe in order, or the laws from the universe, in order to make it significant. And a lot of things were taken out of things that happened in Kemet, in Egypt, and different things of that nature, because those were very, very powerful times. People were fully aware of who they were. They knew themselves in terms of knowing thyself, and they knew what source energy to tap into in order to facilitate all the things that we now see today, that we don't have an understanding of how it was created. So I just want people, so in my subsequent videos, you're going to start seeing me tie into a lot of Christianity, a lot of religious based information into how we understand. Now, in the Bible, in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, right? In the beginning. And this is how I'm going to tie in to make people understand. So I'm going to tell you right now, you got to have an open mind. If you don't have an open mind, this is not going to make no sense to you, and you're going to rebel against it, because it's not going to make no sense to you if you are limited in your sense of reception. So I'm just saying that right now at the beginning. So I want to say in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, the earth was without shape or and it was void. And what we considered void is darkness, right? So God basically came. God is darkness, right? And so when he spoke, right, he said, let there be light, right? So out from darkness came light. So light now is, in essence, a byproduct of darkness, right? So if source is darkness, and then God spoke, right, and he created light from darkness, then he said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, what I'm coming to understand is, and I'm taking it little bit by little bit, because people are steered wrongfully. Like, they're still steered in the wrong direction, and they're diehard and hardcore believers of certain things. But I think if you take the time to break things down and to really understand it, you'll see a different sense of understanding. So I'm just going to start there. So when in Genesis, if you take the religious aspect of Christianity or what have you, religion, in the beginning there was void, there was darkness, right? And God, the very first words that God spoke is, let there be light. So as God spoketh, it appeared. So when God spoke it, the words, let there be light, then light appeared. So light is a byproduct of the of darkness. And then he starts speaking as he did it in order. Okay, the light, and then the sun, and then the sun, then the earth, then the trees. So, and then you have the 5 elements, right, that comes into part of the creation of the planetary systems and the different planets or what have you, all right, which they call ether, right? So I'm going to stop there because I want that to marinate, because out of darkness came light, okay? And if God was void, God was darkness, right? If God was darkness and he spoke and then there was light, then the source is darkness, right? The source is darkness. And light is a byproduct from darkness. So I'm gonna let that sit with you guys, because like I said, I'm gonna take it slow. I'm gonna take it slow because you have to understand the basic fundamentals. I think a lot of times what happened is that the Bible has been taught to us from a literal perspective, not from a spiritual perspective, not from an astrological perspective. And it seems quite odd that those things were left out of the equation, because that's where the most power in it. And it's not about power, it's about the truth of who you are and your being and your essence of who you are. A lot of times, even duality is a byproduct from source, right? And then this is just me personally. A lot of times what happens is, like, I always say no. Everybody say work is hard and you got to work hard, you got to do this and you got to do that and whatever. And yes, I'm systematically in the understanding of what that means. You know, I'm not blind to how that has been created, but there is a part of me within me. Don't ask me how I know, I just know. But every time I hear it, I'm like, that's not truth. It's not spiritual truth, right? It's the truth for this dimension, yes, but it's not spiritual truth. It's not, and there's a big difference. So when I hear like life is hard and you got to work hard, you got to do this in order to get no, and all the bells. When I tell you, like, all the bells start ringing in my head to say that is not spiritual truth. That's not spiritual truth. That's not spiritual truth. All the bells start ringing in my head. So, you know, I'm going to get to a point where it's going to make sense. You know, I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be able to articulate it for it to make sense, that, you know, it's the only reason why things are hard right now for us is because we have made that belief a truth, right? And it's a relative truth, not an absolute truth. Okay, there's a difference between the two. So therefore, because we have made it a relevant, you know, a relevant truth, a relative truth rather, that is the reason why that's the reason why it exists, right? That is the reason why it has life. That is the reason why it has the momentum. But I've come to understand from a spiritual sense is that that's not an absolute truth. And the reason why it's a relative truth is because we believe in it, right? We believe in it, and our powers that we are somewhat kind of like oblivious to, gives life to that relevant truth, right? And makes it a reality for us because we have the power to do that. But how about if we take it a step further and say, okay, well, where is this power coming from? right? Why, I have the power to make something that is a relative truth that's not an absolute truth. So what is the absolute truth? The absolute truth is that you had the power to make that a relevant truth. You had the power to do that. You had the power to make the relevant truth, make it a relevant truth for you. So therefore it became a reality for you. And so therefore now that is the reason why life, you got to work hard, you got to do this and whatever. So let's flip it. Let's say if you say, well, it's not hard. Life is not hard. You could equally say that too, right? And that's more in alignment with absolute truth. So if you tapped into that, then guess what? It'll be easy for you. It'll be so much easier. So I just want people to understand that source energy comes from light is birthed out of darkness, right? And to get people that are in the Christian belief system to understand it is when God spoke, he said, let there be light. So if God spoke, that means that God is darkness. So, and he spoke and he said, let there be light. And I'm going to stop there. So the essence to this video is to imply that source energy is, the power is in darkness. The power, we've been taught that the power is in light. And the power, there is power in light, but the absolute power is in darkness, right? So when everybody say light being, yeah, you can work with light. Light is a byproduct of darkness because it was spoken into existence, right? So therefore it wasn't the original stance, but it has an equal amount of energies that can still facilitate what it is that we want to have in this relative experience. And this is what religion honed on to. They didn't give you the full power, which is darkness. They told you to stay the hell away from that was evil, that wasn't good, that was the wrong thing. They didn't give you the full play. They gave you half power. They gave you just enough to make you feel all right, because the full power is truly in the darkness of things. That's where God is, right? And so they say, okay, we're going to steer everybody to the light, because light is the byproduct of darkness, and you can still facilitate some things, but you're still limited in a sense, because it's not the full throttle. It's like half throttle, if you really want to understand it from that perspective. So what the people started to realize in terms of their intelligence of they didn't, because consciousness was what, how can I say, they knew the powers of what dark matter, dark energy, whatever it was. They didn't, when the people, the powers to be now knows this stuff, right? And so therefore they don't want you, and this is way back in ancient times, they didn't want us to know that power. So they did everything in the religion aspect of things to keep us away from it. So I always say, Caroline, go into the light, go into, they'll tell you all, don't go in. Well, no, actually, in that one, actually, it said, Caroline, don't go into the light. That's interesting. So, they always talk about light. And yes, light is efficient. Light is good. Light is what you make it. But when you're turning it, when you're starting to understand it from a more deeper sense of spirituality, light is a byproduct, and it is not the full throttle. So I'm gonna end here with that, to give you something to think about. And then my next series is going to be breaking down a little bit further into why. I gave you a little bit as to why, but why it is that way. But the most important thing I will always say in my videos is seek out the circumference of what you have been taught. A lot of what we know, everything is in reverse. And I've said that ever since I was like 14, 15 years old. I remember saying, like, why do I feel like I'm living in reverse, that this is something that's just not right? And I've always said that as a child. And now that I'm becoming more into myself in terms of spiritually, and I'm reverting back to these memories that I had as a child, I've known all along. But that's neither here nor there in what we're doing right now. It's the best thing now is to get yourself. When they say get your house in order, it's to get your house in order. Excuse me. Is to get your house in order. I think that's the most imperative thing right now, because your full potential relies in you, right? It's all in here. It's all in here. So once you get that understanding and realize what your true powers are and where they derive from, it'll change. It's game changing. Game over. You're gonna change the whole game. Gonna have a new set of rules. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience indeed. We are beautiful people. We are beautiful. This God has created this environment for us to learn. Like, you look around and you're driving a car and everybody feel like you got to go off to university and this and that or whatever. But this is a university. This experience is a university. So everybody got their PhD, because if you've lived long enough here on earth, this is a university. So it's a beautiful experience, and I want people to really truly understand who they are and the powers that they have, and that it's your belief systems that got you down. It's your belief system that got you down and out. People dabble into different, spiritual things, and the thing of it is, I look at it this way: you could solicit for help spiritually out there, because there are energies and entities that are out there that could help you. You know what I'm saying? But you have the power. You have the power as well. You just got to believe that you do have the power. You have it. And once it becomes, I don't believe in just knowing this stuff and not sharing it. I just don't believe that, or just giving you a little bit of it, and then you gotta. I don't believe in that. As I learn and grow, I'm gonna give what I know to everybody that is willing to listen. What I notice about certain YouTubers, when you see YouTube pages that have like millions and millions and millions of views and different things of that nature, that's good. Right? It's good. But what I've tend to find in my own journey, that where the most truth is at, and not commercialized, is the channels that have the lesser views. So I said, that's interesting. And it's powerful, very powerful information. It's really, really interesting to see that. I was like, wow, it's interesting to see that. So a lot of times where you see a lot of flooding in certain areas, yeah, that's okay. There's a benefit in everything. To me, there's a benefit in everything. You can learn something from almost everything. But I'm telling you, in terms of your circumference, seeking out of the circumference of what you've been taught, you'll notice little things like that. So I believe that I should just give everything that I have to the masses, like give it to them, because what's going to happen, this is the thing. And not to say that nobody else is doing this, but this is the thing. The people that truly are ready are the only ones that's going to gravitate to that information. So, it's like you gotta understand, the dynamics of how we've been cultivated. But the beauty about it is people are branching out. That's the beauty. People are starting to more branch out, because they're realizing that there's something, we're not being fully advised in the right energy, in the right sense of understanding, but most importantly in truth. We're not being advised in truth. So it's so many different things that we should have been taught. Astrology, like I said, in the book of Enoch was left out of the Bible. Now I know why, because that was the introduction. If we would have really had those books in there, because it's not just the book of Enoch that was left out. There was a plethora of books that was left out of the Bible intentionally, because it emitted the most powers. Because believe you me, there are many people that exist now, that existed back then, that was at that level, and they gave us the information, and it was left out intentionally. But if you ever can get a chance to read the book of Enoch, then I think it's imperative for you to get a chance to do that. it will tell you, it will start to give you the baseline understanding of who we are, what we are, why we are. And it's astrological in nature, and that's the thing that I'm like, why is it that? And you even know, even in NASA and everything is a secret when it comes to outside of the universe. It's a reason for that. It's a reason why they keep that hidden. So you just gotta start really now. We know what our relative truth is, but now we got to start looking for the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is way more powerful and sometimes very different than what we've been taught to understand. So with that being said, I did a whole nother spiel when I was trying to end as I'd go on a tangent. But with that being said, peace and love, everybody. It's a beautiful day in Zamunda, and I just hope that you guys are having an amazing day. If you like this video, please like. If you're liking the information that I'm putting out there, and you see a benefit for it, please subscribe. And if you feel like somebody else could benefit from this information that I'm putting out there and the stories that I'm putting out there, please care to share to those, and more importantly, make a comment, because each one teach one. I think it's important. Ask questions. If you don't ask questions, then you're gonna be always in the mystery of things. You're not gonna know what it is or what not to do, or whatever the case may be, or not understand certain things. So I hope that this video was really informative. I'm gonna do more like these, and it's not that I could do them every day, because I have to sit down, I have to take myself, and I have to meditate, and I have to really get myself into that sense of clarity to be able to articulate it. But once I get it, then I'm going to shoot the videos out there. All right, so love you guys, and I shall commence to talking with you guys later. It's beautiful. You guys are beautiful. Have an amazing day. Bye.